We are having a look at the hospitality sector. This has all come off the back of a Mashreq Bank report suggesting that we just need to hire an awful lot more people for hospitality in the Gulf if tourism is to continue expanding. Yesterday we were speaking to Greg Wright of Food People. They place people in the medium to upper tier of the restaurant industry. This is what he said.
Short term, at the lower level, it's absolute chaos. In the mid-level, I think it's more functional. And then at C-suite, that's where the real battle is.
So we are looking to have a chat about what's happening in all levels this morning. And so we are talking to a company that places people in that tier that he was speaking about there. Salaries up to about 7,000 dirhams. Kabir Luthra is the CEO of GroupL, joining me on the phone this morning. Kabir, good morning. Thanks for speaking to us. Kabir, good morning.
Thank you for having us on the show. I think it's a great topic to be having. It's a very timely discussion. There's a lot of activity that is going on within this arena at the moment.
So, Kabir, what do you make of Mashreq's predictions that we're facing a skills shortage? Are we? Can you find the people you need?
We are facing a skills shortage, but more than the shortage, I think it's an issue of demand rather than a shortage. If you look at it, the demand for hospitality manpower has absolutely gone through the roof in the last 2 years. Dubai has hosted a very successful Expo 2020. It's had an excellent response to the COVID pandemic. Dubai is in the middle of is probably the best position globally as a tourism hub at the moment. Everyone wants to come to Dubai. There's hundreds of new restaurants and hotels opening every few months. I read a report yesterday which said that in 2021 there were 40 new hotels that were registered in Dubai itself. So there is a lot of demand that is coming up in the UAE. There is also a further fight for the talent with what is happening in the wider GCC. So you have the Qatar FIFA World Cup that is taking place in a few months' time. You have Saudi Arabia, which has got a very buoyant economy at the moment. There's a lot of people being hired into the Saudi hospitality industry. The source markets all remain essentially the same. It's India, it's Philippines, it's Nepal, it's parts of Africa that the people, the workers are coming from, and within this salary bandwidth. What's also happening in these domestic economies is that there has been a large increase in the number of hotels that have come up there as well in the last few years. So a lot of the people are being absorbed in the domestic economies as well. So if you look at all of this, there is a significant demand issue here as opposed to a skills shortage as such, or a manpower shortage. I don't think there's a manpower shortage because we managed to bring in about 14,000 people into the UAE last year. So there's clearly people available. We run a job center in Al Quoz where we're interviewing and screening people every day. We have between 100 and 200 people that come to us every day. So there are clearly people available. It's a question of how do you find them? It's a very fragmented market as such to go out and find this. It's always been, especially for the hospitality industry. So in order to bring all of this together, we've got a couple of ideas that we've been working on, one of which is a job portal that we have curated and we brought on, where we pool together all our sources of manpower. The job portal is called worka.me, and it's a free-to-use job portal. In addition to that, we're also running probably Dubai's first job fair in August, where we are essentially focused on the hospitality industry, and we're expecting about 5,000 people to come to the World Trade Center to seek jobs.
Kabir,
so there are clearly people available.
Kabir, what does this mean then for wages? If we've got the strong demand, are employers willing to pay what it takes?
That was going to be one of the other points that I wanted to raise later in the conversation. But yes, I think employers have to look at wages. That is a very key driver. And if they don't look at wages, we are going to suffer a little bit in terms of being able to attract the correct talent, especially when there is such an active demand coming from the wider GCC and the other areas that I just spoke about. So people do need to look at salaries. Salaries have gone up for some of the job roles, but not for all of the job roles. So employers are beginning to look at this, but I also understand coming out of COVID, everyone is under budgetary pressure. So everyone doesn't have the budget to increase salaries. The ones that do are being able to attract the correct talent.
Greg suggested yesterday, and a couple of other people in the industry have told me as well, that there's a lot of poaching going on, small financial carrots being dangled to move people from employer to employer. What are you seeing?
Definitely. We are seeing a lot of that. It's not poaching in the traditional sense. It's more of a blanket approach that people are saying that I need the manpower. This is what I am offering, as opposed to going into Hotel A and saying, I want your housekeeping staff. But what they are being able to get is they are being able to get the people who have the correct experience. If they're able to poach, as opposed to getting someone who's freshly into the country who may not have the correct experience.
I've got just 40 seconds left with you. Are we investing enough in training, in skilling up the people that have already been hired?
Short answer, no. We have never done that enough, especially in this region. It's something that everyone needs to look at. Everyone within the industry needs to look at.
Kabir Luthra, the CEO of GroupL, speaking to us this morning about that skills shortage, or as he says, not so much a skills shortage, but just an awful lot of demand and competition from across the region for, we'll call them the foot soldiers, the people who are actually making and serving you your coffee in the hospitality industry. A number of messages coming through this morning. Thank you very, very much for that. If you're in the industry, as many of our listeners are, I can see this morning, if you've got anything to say. We've had one listener say the poaching is rife. People are literally just taking other people's staff. If you're willing to pay more, is that a bad thing? Discuss.